Welcome back in Season 2, Episode 1 of the Sports Information Podcast. I'm your host, Hopkins. Thrilled to be back yet again. Second episode this week, actually. First episode, Season 2 premiere. We did a little preseason coverage. That's not my forte. I don't follow the preseason. It's like college football. It's the show before the grand show in my eyes. So I just tune in for the regular season, playoffs. That's what I'm here for. That's what you're here for. If you missed that episode, TV's new. We covered that. Went over a few tricks and things that we're going to use. You know, we use a few different websites. We'll always have those tabs open preemptively. So as you can see, we're only focused on one thing today. Gosh, what else? Obviously, we moved studios. So, scrap that episode if you didn't watch it. If you did watch it, thanks for being here from day one of Season 2. That was the premiere. We're calling this episode 201. Follow with us each week. This is week 1 of football coming up, right? So what can you expect from the show this year? Weekly recaps. You're going to get new analysis based on the new information that we have week to week. We're going to review our picks. We'll tell you where we went right, where we went wrong. If it's anything like last year, we'll be talking about how right we were a lot more than how wrong we were. 80% of the time or something like that. 83, I think. But, yeah, new analysis on new information each week, right? There's going to be teams that we don't like in week 1. And in week 3, we might think that team's electric because we've got new information. We've got new footage. It's a new year, right? It's a new week. So stick with us. Obviously, with the recaps, you got to have picks. So weekly picks, winners of each game. We'll tell you your must-see TV games or maybe your must-see TV players, which in turn makes the game a must-see TV. And then probably it's something new we're going to try. I don't know how consistent we'll be with it, but 3 to 5 teams to cover the spread each week. We'll tell you who we think's got the best chance at beating their opponent by their projected line. Again, this is not a gambling show. We don't condone gambling. We don't promote gambling, and we do not gamble. However, these lines are public. This is just information that odds makers come up with for people to gamble on, but also for you to get an idea for your free pick'em leagues as to how to make your picks, right? If a team is a 10.5 point dog, you're probably not going to take them as an underdog winner that week unless you're crazy or ballsy. So just a little context there for what spreads are. And then producer and listener questions. Okay, so throw your questions, comments down in the comments, and maybe you'll get read online. Who knows? So for tonight's itinerary, we've got week 1 picks, and then we're going to jump right into producer questions. There's obviously no recap. We're not going to recap any of the preseason games. And then we'll pull up the schedule. And we'll already got it. And we'll just run down the schedule. So, and then we're going to jump into producer questions after. There's no listener questions yet for season 2. Somebody change that by episode 2. Thursday, September 4th. That is going to be tomorrow for you all. That's a day and a half away for us right now from recording. Dallas at Philly, 8:20 p.m. Tune in. Tickets as low as $383. That's incredible. Where's the spread? Oh, did that goof me? Now, wait a minute. See, these are the technical difficulties I'm talking about, people. Thanks for bearing with me in episode 1. Marshawn Lynch with the Skittles. It's going to be the same link, but it's not going to be any different for us this time. Yeah. So it's the same stuff. All right. No spreads this week. We'll do them next week. We're just rolling. So week 1, Dallas at Philly. First game of the year. I mean, seeing as Dallas was projected to lose this game before the Micah Parsons trade, they're obviously going to lose after the Micah Parsons trade. They'll be lucky to not lose by 10 or more. I don't know what the line is. I'm sure the line's probably around 7.5. Philly's got to be slightly better than a touchdown favorite at home. Defending Super Bowl champions. They did lose a couple pieces on defense, but the Dallas defense isn't going to be able to stop that offense, and the Philly defense is still solid enough. They'll be league average at worst, and that's if they have a bad year. So give me Dallas, week 1 in Philly. Also, apologies. I am a little sick, so if I sound congested or if I'm sniffling into the mic, again, we'll be better next week. Friday, September 5th, we've got Kansas City at the Chargers, but it's actually a neutral site game because we'll be in Brazil. Yeah. Okay. I did really well last year calling Chiefs games. In fact, I was 100% on Chiefs games last year. I picked their one loss. Called it. They'll have more than one loss this year. It won't be week 1 to the Chargers, though. Sorry to tell you. The Chargers are going to need a little bit more time than just preseason for them to figure out how their new pieces fit. And Justin Herbert and John Harbaugh are going to need more than one season and a preseason together before they can really make the magic flow. But I'm a believer in Herbert, and I'm a believer that Harbaugh is the answer at coach for those guys. So Chargers, ticking time bomb. Week 1 is not the explosion date. Now, the best day of the week, Sunday. Football on all day. 3 TVs in the living room type of day. Me, I'll be at Lucas Oil for this one. I'll be in Indy. If you see me, say hey. If I don't like you, I won't say hey back. But shoot your shot. Tampa Bay at Falcons, week 1. Give me Tampa. They're in the same division, so they'll see each other again. We'll see how the season plays out for these guys, right? We'll have new information by the next time they play, so we'll make a new analysis. But week 1, I'm going off last year and what I've been reading this preseason. Again, I don't put a ton of weight into that stuff, but week 1, give me Tampa. I think Tampa's going to be, like I said in the premiere, they're going to be one of those teams that wins 10 or more games this year. They just are. If you go look at their schedule, it's a softer schedule. They play in a weak division with 2 very weak teams, the Panthers and the Saints. So that's a guaranteed 4 wins. Can you find 6 other wins on your schedule, Tampa? I think they can. I think Baker's going to be electric again. Mike Evans is going to be healthy all year. And I think Emeka Egbuka's got a great addition. We'll see how Godwin and McMillan return from health. And then they obviously hit on their rookie running back, Bucky Irving, last year. And that O-line is awesome. And I love Todd Bowles as a coach. Recipe for success in Tampa. Week 1, W against the Falcons. Cincinnati at Cleveland. Give me Cincy. It's probably one of the few games I'll pick for Cincy to outright win, openly win, handily win. That's the phrase I'm looking for. All year. I don't believe in Cincy's O-line. I think their defense is terrible, despite the fact that they brought Trey Hendrickson back. And that was after trying to ship him. So, right, they were ready to kind of pack it in on the defensive end. But he's their best player by a mile. It's not close. They're outside of that, they don't have a lot going for him on either side of the ball in the trenches. I know they have Joe Burrow. I know they have Jamar. I know they have T. Higgins. Some of you are Chase Brown fans. Some of you are not. Personally, I think he's probably your 13th best running back in the league, maybe. I could rattle off at least 10 better that I think are better, that I would rather have. And again, that's assuming health. But, man, since he's probably going to clobber Cleveland in week 1, and then they're going to struggle for the rest of the season because Joe Burrow is going to be running for his life. It's just the way it is. And then Miami at Indianapolis. Listen, I did this the other day, and you know what? We're going to do it right now, too. I'm going to go to the Colts schedule, and as a Colts fan, I'm going to tell you exactly how many games I think they're going to win all year and why I think it could be 0. So week 1, it's a loss. Dolphins are going to win. The Broncos are better than the Dolphins. They're going to lose. The Titans could be really bad. They could also come out and be pretty okay. They could be middle of the pack, slightly below league average this year. That could be a loss. But let's say they split with the Titans, so they'll find one win. The Rams is a loss. The Raiders are a huge question mark this year. Nobody knows if they're going to be good or if they're going to be awful. Okay? They've got enough pieces that if Geno Smith can be the Geno Smith that he was in Seattle and Pete Carroll, Pete Carroll's Pete Carroll. So the Raiders could be good this year, right? Or at least solid. Sorry, my dog's licking his paws. I got to keep him from doing that shit. Cardinals, Colts. Cardinals could win that game. Cardinals could also suck this year and lose that game. But we'll call it a loss because I believe in Marvin Harrison Jr., and I think Kyler Murray's pretty solid. And the Cardinals don't have a bad roster. Colts versus Chargers, loss. I said we split that, so we're still at one win, right? The Steelers, Mike Tomlin's going to beat us. He just is. Falcons, I think they're going to be good this year, or at least better than the Colts, so they're going to beat the Colts. The Chiefs and the Texans, losses. Jaguars, loss. Seahawks, could be a win, could also be a loss. So we're at 2 wins. 2 wins all year so far. So I'm not going to pick the Colts a lot. That's the moral of my story here, okay? We just have a tougher schedule, and we have horrible quarterback play. Horrible, okay? Until Daniel Jones goes out there and proves me wrong. And I heard a take today that if Daniel Jones gives us the same quarterback play that Andy Dalton gave us a few years ago, we could be a playoff team. Sure. If the Titans are ass, if the Jaguars fall apart and suck, and if the Texans also suck, sure, we could win our division with Andy Dalton quarterback play from Daniel Jones. But I don't think Daniel Jones can give us what Andy Dalton gave us a few years ago because Daniel Jones hasn't had a 4,000-yard or even 3,500 passing yard season in forever. Maybe ever.
Andy Dalton?
Daniel Jones.
Andy Dalton didn't play for the Colts, did he?
That's what?
I could just be...
I don't know if it was... No. Okay, I get your confusion. No. Sorry, and I misspoke. Andy Dalton didn't give up. If Daniel Jones can do what Andy Dalton did a season or two ago in Carolina.
I'm following.
I'm
following.
That's on me. You're right. Good catch over there. That's why we have a producer. But again, that was just a really long roundabout way of saying I think the Colts are going to lose pretty handily in week 1 because Tua's still healthy, and when he's healthy, he's fine. Stop licking your paws, especially on my pillow. That's crazy. Las Vegas at New England. Healthy Tua, healthy Tyreek, demolishing the Colts. Las Vegas at New England. I just said it. The Raiders could be solid this year. I apologize for the whitewashed logos. That's a side effect of the black background. Tell me what's easier to read for you guys, and I'll change it. At New England. These are 2 teams this year that could easily double their win totals, right? They both won 4 games last year. They weren't good, and they got a lot better this offseason. I think New England should be the favorite to double their wins from last year because they made huge improvements to the O-line. They're going to be starting a better quarterback in Drake May, and they've got a run game now because Travion Henderson's going to be a beast. Just wait. Give me New England in week 1. I do think Las Vegas pulls it together. Like I said, I think they'll be a tougher team than the Colts. I don't know how much that's saying this year. The Colts could literally be worse, as bad as the Saints maybe. No, they'll be better than the Saints. But give me New England in week 1. Arizona at New Orleans. Give me the Cardinals. That's not... I hope I don't have to explain that. They're starting Tyler Shuck at quarterback, and if they're not starting him, they're not? They changed that? Or it's Rattler?
Yeah, it's Rattler.
Rattler won the job. Phenomenal.
It was one of my conversation points.
Awesome. So I missed that news. What I was going to say is they're starting Shuck, and if not, they're starting Rattler, who is not even mildly better than Tyler Shuck. But they're starting Spencer Rattler. So they've got still no chance. The Pittsburgh Steelers at New York Jets. Guys, not only was I fantastic at picking the Chiefs last year, I was incredible at picking the Jets games. I faded Aaron Rodgers and the Jets every chance I got, and I was right a lot. I'm going to fade the Jets and Justin Fields even harder this year. Losing to Pittsburgh in week 1 for sure, not a question. New York at Washington. I think New York is going to have the best defensive line in the league this year, and they will win games. Not that one. Give me the Commanders. Carolina at Jacksonville in week 1. Give me the Jags. I think the Jags are going to be awesome this year. They'll be a playoff team. That's an early season prediction I'm comfortable with because I think the Texans lag behind this year. Titans will be better this year than they were last year. They won't be great. Cam Ward's still going to be a rookie quarterback with a very mid roster and an aging Calvin Ridley and an aging Tony Pollard. But he's going to give the Titans a boost in morale for sure. Speaking of the Titans, they play in Denver, and Denver's going to handle that one pretty easily. San Francisco plays Seattle week 1 at Seattle. Give me San Francisco. It's one of the few weeks they'll have everybody healthy. Market. Somebody's getting injured. Detroit at Green Bay. This is a tough one. But Green Bay just added maybe the best edge rusher in the league. Maybe the best defensive player in the league, depending on who you're talking to. Not me. He's up there. Not my best. But I'm still just not a full believer in the Green Bay offense. We'll see what Matthew Golden does. Maybe he'll open up the field a little more for Jordan Love. I think Josh Jacobs is a criminally underrated running back, and especially after last season where he had, what did he have, like 1,400 yards and 15 touchdowns? Let's check that here. Regardless, the man had an unreal season, and nobody really talked about it because, I get Derrick Henry went on a tear. I understand that Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson had incredible sophomore seasons, and they were electric to watch. But let's talk about 1,329 yards, 15 touchdowns on the ground. Not to mention he had 342 yards and a receiving touchdown. So almost 1,700 total yards himself and 16 touchdowns. Yeah, dude's a beast, right? But Jordan Love, slightly better than league average quarterback. Who did I say earlier at probably the 13th best running back? Chase Brown. Jordan Love, probably the Chase Brown of the quarterbacks right now. He's in that range of tiers. Can be very good, can definitely help you win games. I don't think he's the reason that you are over the edge, though. Does that make sense? He's not an X factor. He's not a game changer. He's more than a game manager, I think. He also might just be a huge product of that Green Bay quarterback development system and Matt LaFleur's coaching. And I really believe in Matt LaFleur. So, all those reasons make it tough for me to not pick Green Bay. The only thing that the Lions lost, outside of Ben Johnson and their coordinators, is O-line. But it wasn't like they lost their whole O-line. Their center retired. Huge blow. But they've still got some guys. And I really think Dan Campbell's a great coach, at least for this time. In the last 3 years, he's been a great coach. I don't know if he's necessarily an all-time great coach. I don't know if he's a long-term great coach, but he's had a great run, I'll say. Lions offensive line. But they've got a ton of weapons, man, and it just makes them so dangerous. And yeah, they've still got Taylor Decker at left tackle, who I really like. They've still got Penei Sewell at right tackle, and he's the best right tackle in the league. So they're okay on the edges. Christian Mahogany or Mahoney if the G's silent, but I don't think it is. Tate Ratledge and Graham Glasgow. Give me Green Bay, man. Give me Green Bay in week 1. They're at home. It's a divisional game. Jared Goff struggles when he takes pressure from the defensive line, particularly up the middle. So even if Micah Parsons gets blanked off the edge, Rashawn Gary or somebody's going to find their way through the middle, or the Packers will make adjustments and put Micah Parsons rushing up the middle. They'll put him at D tackle, and he'll get it done. Give me Green Bay in week 1. That's probably my toughest pick of the week right there. Houston at Los Angeles. God, I love week 1 because you get all the teams. There's no bye weeks. It's incredible. Houston at Los Angeles, guys. I said it definitely on the premiere, and I said half of it on this episode already. I think the Texans might even be worse than they were last year, and they kind of struggled last year compared to CJ's rookie year. But I don't think they're going to bottom out and the fucking sky is going to fall in Houston. I just think they're going to be a middling team that really struggles. Might win 9 games this year, less than 10. And I think the Rams, assuming Matt Stafford is healthy, are a Super Bowl team. Give me Los Angeles and at home. Baltimore at Buffalo. Listen. Josh Allen's league MVP. Josh Allen's the second best quarterback on the planet. In the galaxy, even. Keon Coleman has to take a step up. Khalil Shakir has to keep doing what he's been doing at least. Dalton Kincaid has to take a step up. The defense has to continue to be solid, which I have no doubt about. McDermott's fine there. But Baltimore's going to take this in week 1 at Buffalo, and here's why. Lamar's going to see it as, I got to get my get back. They gave me MVP 2 years ago. They didn't give it to me last year because Josh Allen needed one. I think Josh Allen earned it. I also think Lamar earned it. I think it was a crazy race last year. Lamar thinks he should have got it for sure. Derrick Henry is the LeBron James of running backs in the sense that he takes care of his body like no other. He does not, for the sake of my takes there, he does not have a history of being injured in any capacity. Zay Flowers had 1,000 yards last year. I think he's going to improve on that. Mark Andrews can't be worse than he was last year, and I don't think he will be. I think Isaiah likely even takes a step forward this year. That dude's a beast. He's an athletic specimen. And the defense is just incredible. Kyle Hamilton is one of the better safeties in the league. I can't say he's the best because Jesse Bates is still here, and my God. But that's a huge game for Baltimore, and I it might even be a week 1 must-win for them just to set the tone for their season, and I think they do it. I kind of hope Buffalo does prove me wrong, but because that would be really good for the rest of the season and some of the takes I want to give on Buffalo. But give me Baltimore week 1 here. And then Monday, Minnesota at Chicago. This is a tough one. This is probably, if Green Bay Lions isn't my hardest pick of the week, this will be. Minnesota, I can't tell you if they got better or worse at quarterback because we don't know what J.J. McCarthy's going to be in the pros yet. We'll find out, right? We're not going to find out week 1. We'll get a sample size, a small one. And people will run with it, I'm sure. Not us, though. We're going to stay here and give cogent analysis based on the information we get. Right now, the limited information we do have, J.J. McCarthy was injured all last year, but he got to develop a lot, I'm sure, especially mentally. He got to learn. He got to just soak up information from coaches, from Sam Darnold, from Jettas, from everyone alike, right? Film. And then Chicago, we know Caleb Williams. We know the unreal talent that he is. Rome Odunze's going to take a step forward, guys. He's a first-round top 15, or was he top 10? Top 10 maybe. Wide receiver draft pick. Don't doubt that talent. Don't doubt him. He's going to be fine this year. DJ Moore will probably still be really solid, if not better than that. I'm sure Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland will be a great interchangeable duo at tight end. I'm sure there will be no problems there. Fantasy managers are probably going to hate the production they get from both those guys this year, but Ben Johnson doesn't care about that, and that's the other thing. They've got a huge upgrade at coach. Maybe flip a coin on it, right? It's in Chicago. I really, really don't want to pick against Kevin O'Connell and that Minnesota defense too. But I'm going to. I'm going to take the Bears in week 1. I think Caleb Williams is going to find a way. I just dumped my Skittles on the floor. I think Caleb Williams is going to Marshawn Lynch, don't hate me. Caleb Williams is going to find a way to get that done. Ben Johnson wants to make a statement in his coaching debut. I'm sure you'll see a trick play or two. It's going to be fun to watch. Tune into that one. Let's give you a must-see TV pick of the week. I mean, honestly, it's tempting to say Dallas at Philadelphia because it's a divisional game. It's Thursday. It's the first game of the year. It's the Super Bowl champions. But I'm not going to give that pick. I also think that's a little crazy, by the way. Super Bowl champions who played the most football last year are playing the earliest game this year. Like, you get the fastest season-to-season turnaround after having the longest season. That's a bad model right there, NFL. You guys need to change that. Philly needs to be the first Super Bowl winner should always be the first Monday night game. They should get the longest return back. Just a take. Just an idea for you. Must-see TV, game of the week. I mean, Michael Penix, if he comes out excited and plays really well, that Tampa game could be crazy. Give me Baltimore and Buffalo. Sunday Night Football. That's the one, guys. That's the one. Baltimore and Buffalo. 30 or more points. Easy. Let's do it. Baltimore and Buffalo is must-see TV. All right. I think that's it on the picks. Yeah, let's hear producer questions, and let's get out of here. My nose is killing me.
Wrong buttons. There we go. Okay, back to the Giants.
Off the floor.
Jackson Dart got named to be quarterback 2, so he beat out Jameis Winston. But
as we knew he would.
I agree. But I think it's important that happened simply for his development, like the stages of it. I think it's good that he's shooting up for his first, week 1 game in the NFL. It's not the preseason anymore. Like, even though he's not starting the game, like, he's at least suiting up. He's going through warm-ups. Like, I think that's really good for him. So, do you think there's any point in the season where you see Jackson Dart starting for the Giants?
Yes. Much like, not nearly to the extent, but much like I was on Aaron Rodgers last year, I was pretty out on Russ. I think Russ is occasionally he can get to let Russ cook. He can get to cooking, all right? I'll give it to him. But Brian Daboll isn't the coach that Mike Tomlin is. He isn't the coach that Sean Payton is. And he isn't the coach that Pete Carroll is. Those are the last 3 coaches that Russ has played for. Russ is going to help the Giants. He's going to be probably a huge asset in Jackson Dart's development. He was a really good NFL quarterback once upon a time. A really good one. A bad Pete Carroll play call away from having a Super Bowl. So I'm not trying to minimize or diminish Russ and what he's accomplished in his career. Right now, Russ is an aging, better than Aaron Rodgers, worse than Jordan Love NFL quarterback. He's going to be great for Malik Neighbors, but he's going to lose that job to Jackson Dart at some point because the Giants are impatient. They're not going to win enough games with Russ to where Dayball feels comfortable that he's not fully on the hot seat, and we see how that front office operates. We see how that coaching staff operates. They make knee-jerk reaction decisions sometimes, and sometimes they just make outright bad decisions. Jackson Dart will start he'll get a start definitely by week 10, probably sooner.
I like that take.
It's probably pretty conservative on the when he'll get in, right? But whatever.
I think 10 weeks is, it's a pretty long time. It's a lot of time to win a job in practice.
Definitely.
Or unfortunate circumstance, Russ gets hurt, or
definitely.
Coach is on the hot seat, got to make a decision, and
Yep.
Here you go. Now we'll switch gears over to the Titans. Obviously, everybody knows that you're high on Cam Ward. I kind of am too. You think he's been flying under the radar, and I kind of agree with you. I don't think he's been talked about enough.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think his ceiling is this year?
Yeah. So I'm glad you asked that after saying that I'm high on him. That gives me a little bit of a chance here to defend myself. I wouldn't go as far as to say that I'm high on him. I just am clearly more tapped in and tuned in than everybody else because I'm willing to talk about him and nobody else is. And I'm going to say it one more time. Any other quarterback, maybe any other quarterback in this draft class even, but any other quarterback in recent drafts, in any round, if they were the all-time Division I NCAA leader in passing touchdowns, you'd see their name on TV every other day with a graphic and an image and a question and a topic. Every other day, at least once a week, like bare minimum, you didn't see Cam Ward on television at all this year. The national television, the national media. Tennessee guys, you guys probably heard all about him all summer. Great. Happy for you. I missed out. I had to go find my own content because it wasn't coming across my feed. It wasn't showing up on TV. Where's the Cam Ward talk? There's not any good narratives, bad narratives, nothing. There's no narrative. There's nothing. And I think that's going to work in his favor. I think he's been under the radar. If he goes out and has a crazy first week and in a crazy second week, it's a wrap. He's in the media. If he has a bad first week, I bet he gets slammed one time, and that's all they'll talk about. That's all that they will talk about him. Like, they won't continue to talk about him if he shows up and plays bad. His ceiling this year, honestly, in a pretty shaky division, his ceiling this year might be what Bo Nix did last year. Let's go look at that Titans schedule real quick. Let's pull that up. Let's show the audience how we make these educated guesses. Titans schedule. Okay. Let's try and find, what did the Broncos win last year? Did they win 10 games? They go 10-7? Let me Google that. Broncos. Whoa. Schedule in 2024. They won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games last year. So yeah, they went 10-7. Or 10-8, sorry. They lost a playoff game. So let's see if we can find 10 wins on this Titans schedule. No. I'm going to give them the Colts twice. I'm going to say they beat the Colts twice. They'll beat the Cardinals. You got to beat the Raiders, and you got to split with the Texans if you're going to get 10 wins. So it's doable. Okay, so there's 4 right there. Probably got to beat the Patriots. So 5, 6. Got to beat the Seahawks, 7. Got to split with the Jags, 8. beating the Browns, no question. That's 9 wins. And there's your 10th win with the Saints. So it's doable. It's on the board. And I would say that's his ceiling. Yeah. His floor, oh, man. I mean, there's no way he goes out there and has a Bryce Young season, right? A Bryce Young rookie season. I mean, I just don't think it can be that low. Bryce Young had no weapons. This guy's at least got a serviceable league average Tony Pollard and Calvin Ridley, who's aging, but wins routes at an insane clip still. So, yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
I like it. Okay, going to the Chargers. Najee Harris was cleared for contact this week, and I'm honestly really excited to see the duo of him and Amari Hampton, going to work in that backfield. And
Sure.
they're a run-heavy offense anyways, I feel like. And then adding Trey Harris on the perimeter, I mean, I think that offense is set up for both of them to, I wouldn't say have a breakout year, but both have really solid careers, or really solid years in their careers. And it's not like asking Amari Hampton to do everything. Like Justin Herbert is a really, really probably top 10 quarterback.
Right.
I mean, you've got some weapons there to work with. So what do you think that offense, what do you think its peak is?
I think its peak is playoffs and second in the division. And I think that's probably what they should hope to be this year. Because I think they should be better than the Broncos. They should be. Will they be? Who knows? Do I like Herbert better than I like Bo Nix? Absolutely. Do I like Ladd McConkey better than I like the receivers on Denver's team? Most of them. Probably all of them. But, I mean, Cortland Sutton's super reliable. And then R.J. Harvey, big question mark. We don't know. But you have to think you like Omarion Hampton better. And Najee Harris is still, again, 14th or 15th best running back in the league. Like a very league average at worst kind of running back. He's not going to be abysmal for you. He fights for good yards. Harbaugh's going to find ways to use him. It's going to be fine. Next.
Okay, I got two more.
Hell yeah.
One for the Vikings. So Jettis was back at practice this week. I mean, I think that's a really, really good sign for Kevin O'Connell and the organization as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, coming off that surprise resurgence from Sam Darnold, do you think that, Jettis and J.J. McCarthy can, recreate some of that magic?
I think you... How do I want to say this? I don't think there's a world where you can say that Justin Jefferson isn't going to make magic happen. He's done it every year in the NFL. And we've got a big enough sample size now that if he retired in the next year or two, he would be in several of those conversations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He gets to 7 seasons, and he keeps doing what he's doing. He's going to start getting into conversations about where does he rank all time. Okay? This is Jetta's through his first 5 years. Came into the league in 2020. 14, and this is just receiving stats. Okay? His rushing stats aren't very impressive. He doesn't run a ton of jet sweeps and stuff. Rookie year, 125 targets, 88 catches, 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns. The very next year, he had an increase of targets by 42. 176 targets, 108 catches, some 20 more catches, 1,616 yards, 1,616, and 10 touchdowns. And then 184 targets, 128 catches, 1,809 yards, 8 touchdowns. 100 targets, 68 catches, 1,074 yards, 5 touchdowns. And that's with missed games. That's with only 10 games played and only 9 started. And then Last year, 154 targets, 103 catches, 1,500 yards, and 10 touchdowns. To say that Jettas isn't going to at least get 1,200 yards if healthy, yeah, I mean, his lowest season when fully healthy is 1,400 yards. So hit 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns is going to happen. And if he plays at least 10 games, 1,000 yards, because he gets 100 yards a game for his career. Career yards per game, 96.5. So, yeah, 100 yards a game. That might be the only magic that happens on the offensive side of the ball in that offense this year if J.J. McCarthy's bad, though. I think McCarthy's going to be pretty serviceable. Played for a national champion team at Notre Dame.
Michigan.
The other Northern Golden Blue School. Again, I'm a pro guy, not a college guy. But Kevin O'Connell's a great NFL coach, guys. One of the top 5 in the league. Top 5 coach in the league. Changed my mind. I think they'll find a way to win some games this year. I think they'll find a way to be competitive in the division again. I just do.
Okay. Keeping it on the receiver train, but sending it over to the Buccaneers. Jalen McMillan, is going to miss a big part of the season with a neck injury.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Godwin's also questionable at the moment, and I feel like that's a pretty common thing nowadays.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Mike Evans is healthy, but he's obviously aging out a little bit. I mean, he barely got to that 1,000-yard season last year.
Hey, but he did it.
But to my next point, he's definitely got a, quote unquote, no doubt wide receiver 1 tag, for the foreseeable future. But this all leads us to, my personal favorite wide receiver of the draft class. I was really high on Ted McMillan coming in, but I think Emeka Egbuka is not talked about enough in that conversation. I think, he's got the potential to be everything that people say Ted McMillan is going to be. So I think, right now, I think he can take over and solidify that wide receiver 2 spot for the foreseeable future until Mike Evans proves to not be, that solidified wide receiver 1.
Sure.
And I definitely think he's going to outperform Ted McMillan just because of his situation. I mean, having Mike Evans, one of the best receivers of all time, and a, top 10 quarterback, at least fantasy-wise, in Baker Mayfield.
Sure.
I mean, he's going to throw the ball around and put up numbers. But what do you think he'll do this year? What do you think he's capable of doing? And, when do you foresee Mike Evans to fall off? At any point this year or next year? Or?
Wow, lots to unpack there. First, I want to start by saying something to the audience. We do reference fantasy football quite a lot on this podcast because we both play it. But also, those numbers aren't to tell you who's the best and who's the worst. Those numbers speak to people's production and volume of production. So when when our producer or when I reference fantasy football numbers, or especially in the case of Baker Mayfield being a productive quarterback, we know that because of fantasy numbers, and it's just an easy comparison to make for some other like-minded people. But anyway, Mike Evans probably doesn't fall off this season, man. Barring injury, right? That's the everywhere. I'm not going to sit here and predict injuries. I'm not going to make my predictions based on, this guy, he's going to end up getting hurt. And there's only one guy I'm going to tell you isn't going to end up getting hurt this year, and it's Kenneth Walker. Gets hurt every year. But Mike Evans has had a couple father time nicks and nags over the last season or two. Even the 2023 season, he had a couple questionable reports before games and stuff. But, I mean, last year he got to 1,000 yards in 14 games. He needed all of those 74 catches and all of those 110 targets to do it, but he did it. And like you said, he's 6'5", He's one of the better receivers of all time. He's got that respect. He's got that lock wide receiver 1 tag. Teams are going to account for him in the scout. Teams are going to put their best corner on him. I think it probably does open the door for Egbuka, right? Even as a rookie, he's that Ohio State, that wide receiver U. He's going to be solid right away. Most of those guys are, especially when they've got solid quarterbacks. And it's not uncommon to watch rookie receivers come in and produce right away, even in wide receiver 2 roles. We watched Jordan Addison do it with a worse quarterback in Minnesota. But I mean, seeing what Brian Thomas was able to come and do last year, seeing what Malik Neighbors was able to come and do last year, and all those guys, right? I'm not saying Egbuka's on that level, but he's got to be close. If you're that high in the draft, if you're that good at a school like Ohio State, so he should be fine. I would expect his production to his ceiling, probably be similar to George Pickens' ceiling this year, right? You're behind a stud receiver. Maybe Egbuka's ceiling even a little higher because CeeDee Lamb probably less likely to get injured than Evans. But George Pickens and Egbuka probably have similar years. I think that's a fair take. I don't know if a lot of people are going to give it. I don't know if a lot of people would agree with that, but I think it's a fair one.
I'm following the vision for sure. And I mean, it's still kind of a question mark with George Pickens too.
Actually, hold on. Let me backtrack for a second because Tampa Bay's defense is going to be way better than Dallas's this year. And Tampa's going to be leading a lot more than Dallas. So they're not going to throw the ball as much as Dallas. So George Pickens will probably have a better season than sorry for the dogs barking in the background, guys. And George Pickens will probably have a better season numbers-wise than Egbuka. So maybe that was a bad ceiling comp, but Egbuka he could easily have as good of a season as Marvin Harrison had last year as a rookie, and he's the 2. I'll say that.
That's fair.
I'll say that.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, good show. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Send it to everybody in your contacts. Please just copy, paste, send to all. It'll be great. We'll all tune in together. And put your thoughts, questions, everything down in the comments. We'll read them off. We'll pull them up right here. We'll throw them on the screen. We'll read your tag name. You'll probably gain no followers from it unless you help me gain followers, and then we'll help, it's a trade and barter system. But can't gain viewership if you don't get viewership. Something like that. I don't know. Have a good night. Baltimore Ravens.